Jay Capone says footage. Yeah, he's not going to release footage. He has footage of it, but he's not going to release it. Why would he do so? Right? Who does that serve? Keep in mind there's an active investigation going, but who does that serve? Exactly. Do you see this is what's wrong. This is what's wrong with people that are not in the space that are parasocially captured. The only way you'll believe him is if he dies. Right? You want him to put out all of his security footage so people that could do this in the future know exactly where all of his security is to better attack it, right? You're like, well, I think he should put himself at risk and die just to prove that he's wrong. And then once he does die, if something like that were to happen, you would be like, well, he deserves it anyway, right? That's why that doesn't work. So no, maybe show the footage. You can ignore what I'm saying if you would like, and I'll stop responding to you. It's an entitled, no, 100%, Jayski. It's 100% entitled. People think that they go into live streams and they talk in the chat and they think, well, I'm owed an explanation. My name is Richard and I work as a cashier at Barnes & Noble. I'm owed an explanation for this creator that I don't know or have anything to do with. I am owed. You owe me an explanation, right? And you have to ask yourself, you need to look in the mirror and be like, why the fuck do I think that way? Why do you think that you're owed an explanation? What? You're a random dude in fucking Ohio. What do you mean I'm owed an explanation? Bro, you need to go outside, go look in the mirror, and really think about that for a minute. Think about that. Like actually look inside yourself and think about that. You know? Think, damn, I'm demanding an explanation from some large creator that lives across the country that doesn't know me in real life or have anything to do with me. And I demand this explanation for this event in perfect detail, every single detail. I need all the security footage myself, and then once I see all that, I'm going to say you're a liar anyway. You owe me an explanation. And Tim asks you, well, why, sir? Why am random guy in Ohio? Because you're a liar. You ever think about that? You ever think about that when you go into like comment sections and type mean shit? Yeah, you're a liar. Like, this creator owes me an explanation. It's like, no, Steve1977. That creator doesn't owe you an explanation because you're a fucking nobody. You are nothing and you mean nothing. So no, a large creator's not going to owe you an explanation. What the fuck are you talking about? It's crazy to me, man. It's the craziest shit I've ever seen. I need an explanation. Grifty with a $20 super chat. Thank you, brother. Says it's the same mentality that made people go after Nick and demand the body cam footage of his house and kids. The weirdos on the internet don't get it. They did more damage to the Rackets family than the arrest ever could. Well, that's an even stranger situation, and the reason it is stranger is because Nick is at a certain size to where people can feel like they can have access to that. Tim's kind of on a large scale, so he's not reading these DMs. He's not reading any form. He doesn't give two fucking fucks. You know, Nick loves to read that shit. So, Nick needs to stop quote tweeting people with 2 damn followers. That's what he needs to do. But Nick does, people think they have access to that. And I've seen people talking about Nick on Twitter. I've seen people talking about Nick in one breath saying Nick needs to have his kids taken away because think about his poor kids. Think about his poor kids, by the way. Remember that. And then in the very next post by the same person, they were like, I want to gouge Nick's eyes out and watch him and let him die in front of his kids bleeding out. How do you believe both of those things? You don't. You don't. You're trying to apply some kind of moral understanding to your psychotic behavior. And where does that lead us back to? Charlie Kirk. He deserved it, right? That's what everybody says. That's what everybody that hates him says. Well, he deserved it. None of these people give two shits. All the people that like to pretend that they're morally just and their moral compass is perfect and that's all they speak to and not how they live their entire life are the first person to say, well, you deserve to die. Right? You can't have it both ways. I think people stopped giving a shit about Nick and he's doing better now, but I think Tim... But now with Tim, I think they won't stop. He's indifferent from Nick. We're also a rebel. Yes, sir. Well, I kind of disagree. I think the people that hate Nick hate him just as much as they ever have. I don't think that's changed. So it's very interesting. Now, look, I don't see them as overtly negative, or I should say that. Let me put that another way. I don't hate these people. I don't hate most anybody because it takes a lot of passion to hate. But you have to look at it from this perspective that they're using this for entertainment. What did we do in the early 2000s? We watched Road World. What was that? Real World. We watched Real World. We watched Duck Dynasty, right? We watched all these TV shows. Why? For the manufactured drama, the parasocial weird drama from these actors, right? That's not what we're doing now. We're watching streamers who are real actual people with real actual families, and we're treating them the same as we did when we watched reality shows in the early 2000s. We're watching this drama unfold and hoping the worst thing possibly happens. Why? Because the worst possible outcome is the most entertaining outcome. That's why you see people talking on Twitter about a creator or a celebrity or anything, and they're like quote tweeting, and they're like, "Yeah, dude, I hope this happens. I hope like they hope that happens because it'll be the most entertaining outcome." Right? That's the whole point. All these people are the same. All these people are reactionary and parasocially captured and are using all this as some kind of weird entertainment like I used to use with Pawn Stars. It's no different, right? It didn't happen. Okay, maybe it happened and he deserves it. That's the next thought processes. If the footage came out, there was a guy shooting if they showed the footage for hypothetical reasons, they showed the footage of the guy going out there, what would you say? I know exactly what you would say. He paid somebody. That's a lie. That would be the next thing you say. I can guess this because it's the same thing that they did with Charlie Kirk and the same thing they do with everybody else. Every time I've ever been swatted, even when I show the footage, people say I paid the police to come to my house. There is absolutely no reason, and there's no reason to explain it, and no one's owed an explanation, especially not a random person in chat. Right? And I'm not being a dick, and I'm not trying to single people out or be an asshole here. But when you're in a chat or on Twitter and you're like, yeah, and typing shit like this, you need to understand you are an absolute nobody. You are not owed an explanation. This is not about you. You are not a part of this. You work at fucking Barnes & Noble. No one knows who you are, and they never will. You are parasocially captured on social media. You need to take a step back because you're speaking with zero perspective and pure confidence of everything you're saying. And that sounds very mean, and it's not supposed to be. But this has nothing to do with you, and you are a no one in the eyes of everyone. That's why you're not owed an explanation, and that's why you're not going to get one. The FBI will get one. You're not going to get one. I know we grew up in a weird generation of hyper entitlement. That doesn't change anything. It just doesn't. Right? Because Tim, as well as I do, as well as any other content creator knows that has ever been in these situations of swattings or people showing up to your house. If I show the footage, you're going to claim I hired the guy. If the guy kills me, you're going to say I deserve it. There is no recourse. That's why there's no explanation. And what will you say to that? You'll be like, well, he should show the footage. You'll just go in circles. Show the footage. Show the footage. Show the footage. Right? Grifty. So wake up one day to picture you, your family, and your home all over your timeline, and then you might understand the fear and stress. Y'all need to wake up. Well, no perspective, right? And look, I know I sound like an asshole, and I'm not trying to do that. You don't have the perspective. If you don't have the perspective on a thing, try not to speak so confidently about something you're ignorant about. Because there's a name for that. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's when you speak extremely confident about something you know nothing about. There's a phrase for it. It exists because so many people do it. Right? You ever been talking to your friend about a subject matter that you know a lot about and they try to chime in, saying absolute bullshit that makes no sense? It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect.